now make money and fuck bitches.
Do we have that all on video?
Do we have that all on video? We do.
Oh yeah.
We can get it to you. I went to Starbucks just like I do every day. I got to the front of the line. They said, that will be $3.67. I swiped that card because they didn't have tap back then. And they looked at me and said, sir, I'm sorry, your card is declined. Walking around the grocery store, checking my banking app, I was overdrawn in my account $27.05. I'll never forget the amount. So is the end goal to exit?
My end goal is to exit or to stay on as medical director, but hire someone to replace me.
They're gonna want processes and financials.
Yeah.
Like that's all private equity cares about. Have you thought about, like, if you were to be approached for exit today, put yourself in the private equity shoes, what are all the problems that you would see in your business?
The main problem is that I'm the main income.
Key man problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So what are all the things that you do? Like, have you made a list of everything you do?
Yes.
Okay, so like I would list out everything you do top to bottom, and I would like rank them 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. 1 being like, only I can do this. I would really have to train someone deeply, and it's like those are the last things that we outsource. 5 being like, I could outsource these tomorrow. I could hire someone in the Philippines to do it, right? And so is it a 1, a 2, a 3, or 4, or 5? And let's take the 5s and let's get them off your plate in like a month.
Say that again. The 5s are.
5s are like, I could outsource this to somebody in the Philippines tomorrow.
Okay.
Right? And so like, let's take the 5s and let's get rid of them like in 90 days. Like if that's not done by the end of Q1, we fucked up. Right? And it's like back against the wall, fucking go, like this has to get off my plate. Okay, now let's go 4s, then let's go 3s, 2s, and then 1s, right? And so what you're gonna see happen is as we get the 5s off your plate, well now we've got free time to get the 4s done faster. Well, once those are off your plate, now you've got the free time to systemize the 1s while you're getting the 3s off your plate, right? So I don't really like Dave Ramsey a lot, but it's like the snowball effect, right? You're literally tackling the lowest hanging fruit, you're getting it off your plate, you're like, finally some space. And every decision you have to make now is like, there's a version of you that's exiting in 2 years. What's the decision that person would make? And if you look at how you're operating your business today, you're not operating from that position, right? We're operating from the scarcity position of, I want that, but I'm not there yet. And so we have to put ourselves in that shoe. I'm exiting this fucking business. I'll tell you, like, I had 2 chances at exit in my business. The first time we went through 9 months of diligence. I did not operate as a business owner that was exited. I was still trying to do everything in my business, and I barely had time to keep up with the diligence. I ended up pulling the plug at 9 months because the valuation kept tanking. I woke up 6 months later, literally walked downstairs, called 2 of my mentors, and I was like, I'm selling my fucking business today. And they were like, tell me more. And I gave them everything, and I was like, here's all the things I'm doing to sell the business. They're like, go. They're like, you're so clear, go. 3 days later, I had an LOI. It literally, and like non-tangibly, but like mindset-wise, was just a shift. Do you feel that difference?
Yeah, like instead of being in lack to be in.
For sure.
Yeah.
But also, like, I would literally sit down by the end of today and be like, 2 years from today, I'm exiting the business. The person that has an offer letter on the table, what are the decisions they're making today that you're not making? What are the actions they're taking that you're not taking? What are the actions they're taking that are different than you're taking? Like, you're in CEO mode, we're not to board member role yet, right? There's gonna be an ascension that happens with you that's board member where you're gonna look at the shit and be like, what the fuck was I doing? Great, that's evolution in the business, right? That's what you have to get to. You gotta look at it as like a board. Well, fuck, like there's a key man problem. Okay, cool, well, like let's systemize and figure out how do we remove the key man problem. And that's the number 1 priority, not marketing and sales. Outsource the fucking marketing and sales. You already defined the marketing and sales systems. Your business isn't gonna tank. Like, but the key man problem is the problem. If you're private equity, that's the first problem you're solving. Make sense? Like, those are the bigger decisions. By the way, those are the ones that are more exciting, because those are the ones that move you closer to exit. Those are the ones that will light you up in the morning. You're like, fuck yeah, like I'm playing as the next version of me. Dope. I'm exiting a practice. Dope. Think about the power that gives to your personal brand. Now you can go do whatever you want. Does that make sense? Oh, I want to hear. What is that? What do you want to launch? Like, what's the end goal? Like, well, let's start at the end and let's work backwards.
Well, it's a membership program.
Okay.
I want a membership.
Okay.
That's what.
Why?
Because I like the recurring revenue.
So you want recurring revenue?
Yes.
Okay, so we don't want a membership.
Well, I want to be able to do group coaching programs.
Okay, so we want recurring revenue. Do you want to do group coaching, or you want the money that comes with it?
Where I can do 3-month programs.
Okay.
I would like to make a lot of money.
Okay, so now we're getting to the truth. How much money do you want to make?
Well, I would like to, I mean, honestly.
Yeah. I didn't ask you to lie to me. Do you want me to share mine so you don't feel guilty?
Can I share mine too?
Yeah, please.
I want 7 figures in my personal bank account. Like, I want to see 6 zeros in my bank account.
I sat at the dinner table with my mother and I'm like, Mom, you ever seen $1 million? No. And I'm like, look.
Yeah.
That was like the best day of my life.
Well, a month, honestly, I need $100,000 personally.
Take home.
Take home.
Okay.
Without, like,
Great.
before, like.
What are your margins currently?
After taxes.
Great.
500, 600.
Okay, so we need to increase by 600-ish a year. So we need to increase by 50K a month.
Yeah.
Take home. So we need to make another 70 to 80. You got a good accountant?
Yeah.
Good money person? Okay. So like 70 to 80. So we got to add about $1 million top line revenue.
Yes.
Okay, great. So what are the revenue streams now?
Commercial building.
Okay. So we can't really change that.
No,
so let's leave that. So let's look at the practice.
I did change it because I just refied it.
Okay.
Because it was terrible the last 2 years since we bought it.
Okay.
So that has been, like, that's diminished my.
So let's leave that in a separate container and not even view it. Like I look at that as like deploying capital. Like the capital we can control is your practice.
Right.
How much does your practice bring in right now? Top line.
About 1.8.
Okay. So we need to get to 2.8.
Yes.
Okay. So we're doing we're doing about $130, $140 a month.
145.
Okay, 140. Okay, so
150.
Okay, so let's call it 150. So we need to get to 270, 280.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I've been at this level for like 10 years.
So what's the breakdown of sales that you bring into the clinic?
Adjust chiropractic, decompression. I mean, massage, but that's kind of just a loss leader to bring people in.
Okay.
We just added metabolic health and weight loss and neuropathy.
Okay. So
And
if we go to grow, do you want to grow through more service offerings? Do you want to make your current customers more valuable to you?
Current customers
more
plus
valuable.
Bring in more new, like my new patient volume has been lower this year and last year than most years.
Okay.
I mean, then it had the trajectory because I've kind of stepped myself out.
Okay.
Now I'm stepping back in.
Okay.
So,
Do you want to step back in?
I want to make more money.
Do you want to step back in?
I mean, not 100%.
Okay.
Because my husband and I own the practice.
Got it.
So I don't want to be 24/7.
You don't want to be the face. You don't want the key man problem.
Well, I'm not really.
Great.
I'm on the website as like the face, and then people don't know where I am, but
Got
that's
it.
okay.
Okay. So if I'm you, to get the clarity around this, and we can continue this conversation anytime, but like, I'm looking at like over the last 6 months, what are all of the things, like take all of your offerings, what are the top things that we sell? And then I'm looking at every customer and I'm mapping out their next 12 months. How do I make this customer more valuable to me?
Right.
What percentage increase is that of revenue? You're probably gonna see a 30% bump if we do things effectively. If we can create ascension journeys in each of your products, we can probably create a 30% bump. Cool, we still got 70% to go. So now we're looking at acquisition. How are we acquiring customers?
So it just did some new sales marketing funnels for social media for neuropathy and for metabolic health.
Okay.
For weight loss. So which we haven't ever done that before.
Are we running paid traffic to this?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the walk me through the funnel?
We literally just this last week. I mean, I'm seeing appointments.
Yeah. So we don't have any data on that
Not
yet. Okay. Walk me through that funnel.
I mean, you're gonna see our ads, you're going to say you want more information, you put your information in, then you book a 15-minute free call where I have our appointments that are in the clinic, book you into the clinic, you pay some money down.
Great.
No, I think I'm not sure what the price is.
Right.
And then you can either do a virtual or an in-office
Setup, yeah. Okay.
and then
So I mean, like when we look at that,
Jason, sorry, the other part is too that it's either a one-on-one or it's a group. You come in and it's like a webinar.
Yeah.
You know, you're watching a presentation, but it's online and then we close it.
Got it. I think there's 3 levers you can pull. One, as you're getting close to the new year, I think you should raise your rates across the board. So that's lever number 1.
Sent out an email yesterday and today for 30 seconds. Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
So we raise your rates across the board. It's lever number 1. Let's say we get a 10% increase next year, right? That's great. Lever number 2, let's look at all of your customers. Let's look at what can we bundle on the front end to increase LTV immediately.
Yeah.
What can we ascend them to on the back end to create LTV on the back end, right? Combined, I'd be looking for a 30 to 35% LTV increase on customers, which means like, what more are we selling them early? What more are we selling them later? And do we need to build a new product to support that? The answer might be no, it might be yes. And then the last thing is let's look at the acquisition and how do we now boost acquisition? So you're leveraging paid media, you're already leveraging earned media, so your social media. Now let's look at what partners and what referral plays do we have to bring it in. Between those 3 levers, we can get you there. Is there not like a license / like affiliate model?
We haven't gone down that path. We've thought about like
instead of like, why not de-risk and take what you're doing and go to these other like affluent areas and find someone locally that wants what you've done, that has the opportunity to build locally. You just sell the playbook instead of risking and going and setting up. Sell the playbook to somebody in every affluent area and charge an annual affiliate fee.
So instead of franchising.
Instead of franchising. I wouldn't franchise. It's a lot of fucking legal.
Right.
Licensing is way easier. You don't get the royalties, but you can charge an annual license agreement. There's a lot of legal that would go into it in terms of like protecting your IP and sourcing and stuff like that. But that's one way of doing it. There's also a way where you could take your whole group and it's like after so many years of a license, they can buy, like think of it like this is what I don't understand about the digital world. Like we look at like law firms, like medical practices where like, someone here's a lawyer, right? Okay, you guys are lawyers, right? What happens when you make partner?
You make partner?
Yeah.
Well,
what's the first thing you do financially? I got it. You write a massive fucking check to the company, right? Yeah. Right. You write a big check because it's like, hey, I'm now a partner, and it's like, congratulations, give us $1 million, or like whatever it is, right? So like, why not carve out a piece of equity of your whole group and say like, hey, you've been an affiliate for so long, you can earn the ability to have equity here, where now they got to buy equity, and so you're de-risking there like long term. I think your replication play comes without risk. I wouldn't be, because just walking in, I heard finance. I think that's a myth. I think you're probably fine financially, but I think that like if that's the fear, like just de-risk it and sell the playbook.
Right. I mean, probably fine financially, but we couldn't sustain a store not making any money
For a year.
in a completely different market. 8 months, a year,
Yeah.
that's a lot of money because
Yeah, it is. It's a lot.
Leasing space is
And it's a significant risk.
It is.
Right. So
They're not making, but they're losing. Like it's one thing if they're just breaking even. You're going to be your main income source is going to be subsidizing something.
So I think you're taking your business model and going and you're selling it locally, and you go find someone that's kind of doing what you're doing, and you go to them and you're like, hey, here's the systems, you can make exponentially more money. We probably could get you an inside sales rep to call to every community in the nation that's doing something like what you're doing, and you know, I don't know how much you want to add top line revenue annually, but you could probably sell the package for 20 grand.
Yeah.
And if you do 120K sale a day, you're going to come out with another 750,000 a year.
Right.
Which is not bad.
Right.
Right? I don't know how much you want to add, but $750,000 is okay.
Yeah.
Like, I know that we're probably like, and again, like the conversation's relative. Like, some people are like, like it's not that exciting. Some people are like, I want another 7 million. Okay, then we scale it 10x.
Right, because I know that one store can make 5 to 7 million
Sure.
a year. I know that.
Yep.
That's what I want.
At what margin?
Probably 50%.
Okay, so one store can net you 2.5. Okay, so let's look at the replication game of a net of 2.5. Instead of thinking 5 million, let's look at the replication game of how do we net 2.5.
Yeah.
And then let's look at all the ways to replicate that don't require opening physical locations, that don't require the risk of that. And so if we replicate systems and we sell systems, can we make that feasible? Just another way to look at it. Maybe you monetize their front end, you build a group where you require membership like this to the group, and now we get to 2.5 faster. You see what I'm saying?
So now it's finding the person to help.
Yes.
License.
Correct. Or you just package it as IP and sell the IP and don't make a license.
We have a complete operations manual.
Right.
Anybody can walk into our store and learn every single.
So maybe we just sell
We're
that
there.
system. Yeah.
We're very close.
Right. So maybe we do that as a digital product, and then you sell like a mastermind of sorts on the back end.
I didn't think of it that way.
Just a different idea.
Right.
Right?
Right.
That comes with significantly less risk. Or maybe it's you sell that and you replicate at smaller scale, and you're taking that money as the risky money, and it's not affecting what you're doing today.
Right. I like that idea.
Right? So now we go sell these on small scale. We don't invest hard into that, but that money is the seed money for replication. Now it's zero risk.
Exactly.
I think we found our solution.
It's better.
Okay, so let's go sell your systems in other areas. Let's take that money as seed money to go in and to replicate, completely de-risk, and build the empire you want.
Because we already have the system.
There you go.
Okay.
Also allows you to put scarcity on the sale of the replication. It allows you to charge more.
Right.
Lower supply, higher demand, you're good.
Do we have that all on video?
Do we have that all on video? We do. Oh yeah. We can get it to you. Sure.
In my field, I'm bringing college savings benefits to the workplace. I'm a small startup. Our major competitor has just dropped out of the space. We've contacted them. Could we buy their list of clients? Could they refer people to us? No, they don't want to do any of that. Do you know of any way to find out who was working with which employers were using them for their 529 benefits, because they now have a need as of year end?
I think you're better off trying to find out who their direct contact was at the company that got let go, and go find the person.
Find out who.
Like go do a LinkedIn search of former employees and find the person and just bring the person in.
Bring them to my company.
Yeah.
I'll bring them to my company. I'll try to hire them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Wow.
That's a better spend.
Yeah, because they'd know everything.
They would,
to the
and
extent they're able to reveal it.
there's no inability to reveal.
No.
They shut down a whole sector. There's no more non-compete.
There's
no non-compete. It's gone.
They're not competing. That's right.
Then you're fine.
All right, hire up.
So go get the person. People are always the way.
So I am in a pretty busy season. My COO exited. I'm doing everything now. I'm in everything, which has been really good because I'm changing a lot of things, and we have been saving a lot of money, and we're like, I feel like everything is changing. And
Can I pause you?
Yes.
Okay, how do you feel about that? Like,
Really happy.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
So like, you know my story.
Yeah.
Profits and happiness.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, let's just pause and like, let's let that sink in for a second. You were on a mission before this with people pursuing bullshit. Like, let's just address it. It was bullshit. You've been placed on a journey that is far more aligned.
Yes.
Right? Like, let that change your frame. Like let that into you. Let that shit change you. Because I think a lot of your dissonance right now and lack of clarity is you're trying to let happiness live in the shit. Like, you fucking hated that.
Yeah.
When I met you, your biggest issue was firing somebody that you didn't want to fire.
Right.
And dealing with the ramifications of it, and you didn't even give a fuck about what's happening in the business.
Yes.
Now you're telling me business is growing and you're fucking happy and you're putting a lot of money away.
Yeah, well, not yet, but we'll get there.
Right. So it's like, let that sink in for a second.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Okay.
Like, what a moment of clarity.
Yeah.
Allow it to be a moment of clarity.
That is good. Well, and this is where I'm asking, like, I'm getting more aligned with what I want the business to look like, and what that looks like for all of us. And I feel a little stuck because I don't know what to do. In the sense of, I want to podcast and write. I'm air. I want to come in and I want to leave. I don't want to follow up. I don't want to train. I don't want to manage. I don't want to do any of that. I'm just air, and I want to create content. And right now, that's not the case. Like, I'm creating content and doing everything else. It's a challenge for me to ask for help and to, like, I don't want to
Ask who for help?
like my team or to hire more people, because I don't want a big team. I just really want something small, and I want to just create. So I'm stuck sort of on, like, how should I be placing my time and energy, because it's in all the things that I don't want to do.
If I was like, I can remove one thing from your plate today. Only one. What am I dropping?
Anything that relates to sales.
Okay. Can we hire a sales manager?
I do have somebody.
Okay.
She's new, so I'm training her.
Okay. So what's her runway?
I mean, she'll be pretty good to go by next month, January.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What's her KPIs?
I gave her the goal of $500,000 in revenue for next year.
Okay.
Revenue.
What's her monthly KPIs?
I don't have it yet.
Okay. So, first thing, you want sales off your plate.
Yeah.
You're training the person, eat shit for 30 days. Eating shit for 30 days is great if you can have freedom for 30 years. Cool? So, like, train her up for 30 days. Everything you need to know that's happening in sales that puts your mind at ease that you can read in 5 minutes, she needs to track. You need a daily download from her every morning. And then you can stop thinking about sales. Any support she needs should come your way in the morning. You'll build the support. If you don't have to do it, that's easy, right? Like, I fucking hate media. Anything he needs from me, I give it to him. I don't mind giving it to him. He does all the creation. Like, dude was editing till like 4 in the morning because we needed to drop something today, right? But if I can show up, like, and it's wild. Ever since I brought him on and outsourced, and we crush communication, right? This is my niece's husband, by the way, but like, we crush communication, and so it's been very easy for me to create. Like, if you follow my media, I'm creating more. I haven't wanted to create for 3 years. And all of a sudden, like, we smashed that piece. It's like, I want to create. I'm messaging him all the time, like, hey, can we meet and film? Can we meet and film? Right? So get that off your plate. You get the daily download. Cool. On to the next thing. What's the next thing I'm getting off your plate?
Like, I just built a membership platform.
Okay.
I'm doing all the
Do you need that?
Yeah.
Okay. So who can manage it?
I'm training my team.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
A lot of training.
Okay. So what's the deadline? When are you out of this shit?
January 6th.
Great. All the training's done by January 6th.
Yeah.
Great, you're out. Done. Walk away. Don't come in. Don't fucking bother me. Here's what you're sending to me every day. And if you're not doing your job, you'll be fired. The end.
Do you think, I have a question for you, do you think you're doing a lot of this stuff right now? Because you just said you built the whole membership. Did you just sit down and like build it out, and then instead of having like the team that you have kind of do it with you, so now that they have to kind of jump into this thing that's already built and figure it out? Because I have a tendency of doing that, just like, screw it, I'm going to just do it myself. And then training people becomes harder because now they didn't get into my head about how it was actually all.
I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I don't think that's a terrible thing.
I just wonder about, like, my problem is I get myself so into it that then I built it and now I have to train somebody else.
But in both of your businesses, you guys are such the visionary. I think that needs to happen. And I think too many cooks in the kitchen can fuck processes. And I'll tell you, one of the biggest mistakes I made was I allowed my products and the distribution of my products to be affected by too many of my employees as we were relaunching. It made me hate everything. Like it actually disenchanted me from my whole business, and that was like the last year where I was like, fuck it, I woke up one morning and I was like, we were making 15 million a year. I woke up one morning and I was like, somebody just give me 5 million. Literally, I'm like, just give me 5 million, I'm out. Don't care. I'm like, I know that puts me super close to my wealth number, I'm out.
Of not trusting.
Yes.
Oh, I have it too.
So here's a really interesting thought exercise for you prior to tomorrow.
Okay.
Like what I think you should do tonight. We blew it all up and you started over again.
Yeah.
What's the core number of sales that you need to make, and what do you need to sell for you to hit your revenue number? Start blank and bring that tomorrow. Because I think you're gonna have a whole new lens as to what it takes to operate.
I know.
So I'm doing right now, factually, in my one-to-one stuff, I don't know, 300-ish a month, and I work 3 hours a day. Right. I woke up one morning and I was like, I'm gonna figure it out. I was sitting at dinner in Scottsdale with my media buyer, and I was like, fuck, I have it. And I went home and I was like, and I shared it with like the 3 people I trust. I'm like, poke holes. They're like, I can't. And I'm like, okay, we're going. Launched it that day. I literally had like 7 months of like, in between when that happened and like when I sold. Like that whole time was like, what am I doing? I don't know. Since that moment, everything I'm like, I'll do it, it just goes. And like the results are stupid. Like I basically started my own private equity on accident. I've taken equity, and after tomorrow night, I'll have equity in 9 companies in the last 2 weeks. On accident. But all out of shit that I want to be doing. Because I work 3 hours a day, so the rest of the time I can be networking and doing shit I want to be doing. And now, I'm not going to make that mistake, the same mistake I made in the past. Again, I'm going to go in, I've already recruited a CMO, I've recruited, and like, we're all people that like to ideate and that like to serve. And so like, it's really my friends. And so we're just ideating and serving on a broader scale, and it's making us way more money. But like the 300 cash flow, that's all I need. Like I don't need more than $3.5 million a year, right? So like, and that's 90% margin.
Nice.
I have 2 employees.
See, and that is a dream. I would love to have.
So thought exercise, blow the whole thing up.
Yeah.
Start from scratch. What are you selling? How many units? What's your role in fulfillment? And let's work backwards.
Okay.
And there's going to be a middle ground between what you have and there. Now let's build the bridge and let's go there.
Okay.
I think that you feel stuck in a vehicle right now that no longer serves you. And I think that you need to alter that vehicle to something that serves you.
Yeah.
When we do that, you'll get excited. You'll work very quickly because you're very fucking good. And then we'll crush.
Okay.
Your whole outlook shifted in like 5 minutes.
I know, yeah.
You see it? Like, do you see like the smile? Okay. Cool?
Yeah.
Amazing.
What's my time up?
Oh my gosh, I'm the worst timer.
You're a bad table leader.
I am the worst timer.
You're fired.
That's hell yeah. We want to make sure to get.
I can't even believe I volunteered.
You're fired.
That was not really my practice. All right, go.
All right.
Making sure. Sarah, please! Give it up for
Thank you. First off, I'm very thankful. This has been an amazing 3 years with you guys, and I just can't say how much my business has changed. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
So for workshops and presentations, I used to make like 1 to 5K, and now I'm wanting us to become large stages. Jen, thankful for stage leaders. So I am now starting to negotiate and figure out how to do that. So yeah, how do I navigate that conversation?
I've got something I can add as somebody that's booked stages for the last 3 years for my own event. One of the hardest things for me to do is book speakers that aren't on every stage. And so the reason I say that is sometimes no is the gift, right? And yes isn't what we're always searching for. Yeah. I think one of Jen's biggest assets is the fact that she's not speaking every week. And so therefore it's like, oh, do you want me to come add value to your stage? Well, you're gonna pay 50 grand. You're gonna pay 100 grand. If you want, and this is not throwing shade at other people, but if you want Ed Milet, well, he's brought his speaking fee down. So he'll speak every single week for 40 out of 50 weeks. Well, I can tell you as the event host, it doesn't sell tickets. Right. And at the end of the day, you wanna go in and you wanna add value. Like Alex Hormozy is one of the best examples of that. Mm-hmm. He rarely speaks. Right. If he's on stage, I can tell you from running Facebook ads with his likeness, it sells a lot of fucking tickets. Mm-hmm. And so for you, there's two sides of it. One, what are you doing away from the stage to build brand, build likeness that people are like, ooh, I want to be there. That's one way to get more. But number two is say yes to the right stages and say no to all the wrong ones. And have that power inside of you to say, no, fuck off. This is my rate. Take it or leave it.
Yeah.
To make Tallahassee the fittest city in Florida. And I never left Gold's Gym the 4 years that I was there. Even though I was a fucking meathead and stupid shit, I still felt like I was part of this community that genuinely gave a shit. And it always stuck with me. I didn't know why. And then I started consulting brands. And there's one called the Keto Lifestyle Diet. And I said, why do you exist? And he's like, well, I want to help people lose more weight than anyone else. And I'm like, okay, you and every other coach. I'm like, quantify that. And he was like, 1,000 pounds. And I was like, how long? He's like, a month. Great. As soon as he changed his message to we want to lose 1,000 pounds this month, come be a part of the 1,000-pound takedown, sign-ups tripled. So when we go and we look at the movement of Small Business Saturday, that's cute. It doesn't mean shit. So what we have to say is, what does Small Business Saturday mean? Helping create 1 million millionaire small business owners. Helping small business owners triple their revenue year after year. Whatever the desired outcome is for them, rally people around that cause. That's step one. Then unpack it and say, okay, what do we stand for in this movement? And what do we stand against? Because there's so many things that people will advocate for simply because they don't like something else. We just went through that in our country. People literally voted not knowing shit about the other side, just being like, I fucking hate that person, whichever side you were on, right? And so people will advocate for something unknowingly because they're so against something. And so when you have this thing that is quantifiable, that is tangible, and every Saturday they show up, and they're like, Small Business Saturday, we're 10% to our goal this year. Thank you so much. We are another $10 closer to another $1 million being donated. And thank you so much for another small business owner not going out of business this year. And thank you for helping us lower the statistic from 70% of small business owners going out of business to 40%. Because in 5 years, we're gonna be down at 4% because of people like you. That's what people can get behind. This is the future. You guys are part of something that literally they're going to talk about in 5 years and be like, this is the best fucking speaking product in the world. And you guys are at the foundation of it. So props to you, all of you, for going all in on yourselves, taking a chance and saying, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. And then everybody here should give it up to the leader of the stage leaders, Jeff. Now make money and fuck bitches. Bye, Jen.
Bye, something you're grateful for, biggest takeaway, and what you're going to do moving forward.
What's going on? Jason Phillips here, 8-figure entrepreneur, and I have absolutely zero coaching services to sell you. I have no masterminds, no high ticket, no nothing. I am making these videos so that hopefully you can experience success the same way that I have, and you can experience a life full of freedom that you desire. So let's dive in. Yes, I sold a multi-million-dollar coaching business for $20,000. No, I am not crazy. Yes, I was extremely burned out, and I want to walk you through exactly what happened. So back in 2014, my coaching business started in the same place it almost ended, which is I was broke. I had absolutely nothing to my name. Thanksgiving 2014, I went on a ski trip, Copper, Colorado. I went to Starbucks just like I do every day. I got to the front of the line. They said, that will be $3.67. I swiped that card because they didn't have tap back then. And they looked at me and said, sir, I'm sorry, your card is declined. Now, in that moment, I had a massive pit in my stomach. I told them I didn't know what happened. I said it must be a banking error, but deep down inside of me, I was like, oh shit, I'm overdrawn. Sure enough, walking around it was in a grocery store, walking around the grocery store, checking my banking app, I was overdrawn in my account, $27.05. I'll never forget the amount. And so finally, I got to the front of the grocery store. I checked my banking app again. I looked down, $500 had somehow entered my account. I paid for my groceries, I left, and I knew I was going to commit myself to building something. Well, as it turns out, I was okay at building. Over the next year, I made $1 million in my coaching business, and I spent the next 6 years scaling that business to $3 million annually, actually 3.6 to be exact, because we were doing about $300,000 per month. Now, this is amazing, except the way that I built that $300,000 was completely wrong. I had no background in building a business. I had no background in scaling a business, and I most certainly had no background in managing life along with a big business. And so over the period of those 6 months, I did a lot of great things. I traveled, I had nice cars, I had nice watches, but I also destroyed a relationship. I had no relationship with my family. I had no friendships, and my body was slowly deteriorating. And at the very end of this time frame, I was so tired, I was so burned out that I remember calling a friend saying, I'm done, I'm just going to shut it down. Well, this friend of mine happens to be a financial advisor. He said, sure, there has to be a way out. Maybe we can sell this. And so I began the thought process of wanting to sell the business. It's literally the summer of 2019. So fast forward a couple months, it's getting worse and worse. The bills are piling up, the stress is piling up, the resentment inside of my team is piling up, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? Well, January 2020 hits, somebody tells me they want to take over the business, they'll take the contracts, and I said, sure, take the contracts, give me $20,000 just so I feel like I'm walking away with something, and you can have the business. The transaction was done that year at Funnel Hacking Live, Russell Brunson's event, Nashville, Tennessee. I stepped out of the event, signed a DocuSign super quick, walked back into the event, and I had just handed over a $3 million business that was cash flowing decent amounts, and I had only accepted $20,000 in return. So the real question is, how did we get there? Well, first, when I started, I was a solopreneur. I worked myself into the ground. At my peak, I had 167 clients on my own with one employee, and that was my personal assistant. I would work 20 hours per day. I would get up at 4 in the morning to take my first call. I would take my last call usually at 11 or 11:30 at night, and I would take calls from everywhere. I would do it when I was driving. I would do it when I was working out. You name it. If you saw me throughout the day, I was on the phone. I was communicating with clients because I thought the only way to get where I wanted to be was the hustle and the grind and, doing what and this is not to demonize Gary Vee, but doing what the Gary V's or the Eric Thomases and all these people said you got to get up early, you got to work hard. And so I was like, all right, I'll hustle, I'll outwork everybody. And I did it. I promise you, I was the epitome of work. And then over time I realized, okay, there's more people that need my service than I can give to, and there's people that want to work for me. So I went out and I built a staff. I did what the gurus today tell you to do. I scaled my service. I hired on assistant coaches. The reality is I had no idea what went into that. I didn't know how to train them. I didn't know how to onboard them. I didn't know what the tax implications were. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I remember literally sending them like PayPal, sending them Venmos, going to my bank and getting blank checks and like handwriting them checks. Like I genuinely had no clue what I was doing. I just knew that we had a lot of people that wanted our service. I knew that there was people willing to fulfill, and I remember paying them 50% of what I was charging. And so as we kept growing, we kept getting more notoriety. I kept doing what I was doing, and I just kept hiring coaches. I would continue to pay them 50%. I never looked at my P&Ls. I never looked at anything. I never looked at cash flow statements. At the end of the day, I just knew that we were growing. We had more people coming in, and I just remember feeling like I had zero life and zero time. And it finally hit a point where I believe it was two Christmases before of I guess it was the year 2016. The girl I was dating at the time, she looked at me, she said, I'm out. This was literally 4 days before Christmas. I remember being alone on Christmas that year and just thinking to myself, wow, I've built something so big, yet I feel like I have absolutely nothing. And I think at this moment right now, I'll pause, because I think a lot of coaches that are watching that have experienced growth, a lot of coaches that are in the process of trying to grow something, you're telling yourself either, I feel you, like you get it, you're burned out, you're like, gosh, I'm working so hard, and honestly, you might not have that much to show for it, or you're an aspiring coach and you're thinking, I want to get to that level, but I don't want to lose my life, I don't want to lose my relationship, and most certainly I want to be able to have the things to show for it. So, the next couple of years of my life were super pivotal. I continued into into the living hell that I was experiencing. I didn't stop. I didn't watch videos like this. I didn't find mentorship. I just kept doing the things that I was doing because I didn't know anything else. And it got worse and it got worse. And obviously I hit the breaking point of selling a large company for a little amount of money. Now, looking back, what I would have changed would have been a lot. In the very beginning, I would have onboarded coaches. I would have not paid them a percentage. If you're an aspiring coach, do not pay your assistant coaches on percentage. Make sure you pay them a flat rate. Why? This makes your business scalable. It becomes a fixed expense into your business. And as you grow what you're charging, you don't also have to grow what you pay them. This can increase margin. This can account for management fees. This can really do a lot in maximizing the amount of money that the business makes and ultimately that you make. Number two, I would not have put the stress on the business to scale the service. Back then, nobody was talking about delivery modalities. Nobody was talking about intellectual property. Nobody was talking about levels of access. All we knew was service and service and service. And so in today's world, we know that we don't have to scale service. You don't need assistant coaches, and you most certainly don't need lots of assistant coaches. You definitely also do not need a big team. So I wouldn't have done that. I would have gone out, I would have found maybe a select few, I would have compensated them reasonably well, but I would have figured out exactly how we were helping people. I would have branded that as my intellectual property, and I would have sold various levels of access to it. But perhaps most importantly is I would have known my numbers. I would have been looking at P&Ls every month. I would have been looking at my net profit every month. I would have been sitting with financial advisors and asking myself, how much of this net profit are we deploying towards future cash flow? How are we using this money as arbitrage for future assets? And how are we setting myself up for retirement? Because the other sad reality is not only did I sell a 7-figure business for $20,000, but I also sold a 7-figure business and I had less than 7 figures to my name. So clearly I wasn't keeping much of the money that I was making in this time. So the reason I'm making this video is simple. I don't want you to make the same mistakes I made. If you're a coach and you want to grow and scale your business,
I would love to give you the strategies to do so profitably, and that will also keep you super happy. I don't want you to end up in the place that I was. If nothing else, take from my story that you don't need to go fast, you don't need to go alone, but most certainly you don't need to go at it in a way that's not giving you what you deserve and what you desire. At the end of the day, this game is about profits. It is about happiness. I want to see you win. And so if I can help you do so in any way, by all means, just hit me up and I'd be more than happy to do it. My friends, best of luck. Go out, create lots of impact, get lots of income. Of course, choose profits, choose happiness, and go crush it.